Hello, ELA1 students. How are you doing? So, this is a whole new world for all of us. However, you guys who have been in my class for the third 9 weeks, and those of you that are new, welcome. You probably know I'm big on reading. So, I foresee a lot of the work that we're going to be doing in the fourth 9 weeks is you guys reading a book. You have the choice to read whichever book you like. It can't be one that was assigned in school, but something that you actually want to read every day for our Tuesday, Thursday, Friday sessions, which are 45 minutes. I'm going to count some of that time, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, where I expect you to read for that amount of time. At the end, we're not doing a final exam. There's just no way to do that in the old brick and mortar system. This is not the brick and mortar system. This is online learning. So at the end, I am envisioning your final project to be a book talk. Now that's going to come with a couple of parts. The first part is what I'm about to show you, and that's the outline. The second part is going to be the script. The third part is going to be a video that you create. Now, you can't do the script until you've done the outline. Can't do the video until you've done the outline. I don't want to overwhelm you, but I want to show you what it is so that as we are going, as you're reading, you might be able to put the book down and fill this out on a given Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe you read a couple more days and then you fill out another part that next week. And then the next week you fill out another part. So I would kind of envision this, when I'm about to walk through, you're doing on the way as you are reading over the course of the next quarter, this next 9-week period, the fourth 9 weeks. This is going to be due, I am thinking, 2 weeks before school gets out. If you are a freshman, you know that school is out on June 5th. So that means I'm kind of envisioning on May 22nd that this gets done. Now we're going to see how that goes. That's what I'm thinking right now. Okay? So let's talk about the outline. So here's where you can type. I'm going to put the PDF of this online, and I'm also going to put the Microsoft Word version, so you could type right on it if you wanted. You could download and print this if you wanted, or you can just write it out and give me the information. That is fine. If you write it out and give me the information, obviously you're going to have to scan it to turn it in, so chances are you're going to just use this Microsoft Word document that I have here, type it out, and submit it that way. Now, the video itself, that's going to come. It's going to be a book talk. You're going to actually write out a script for it. But this is where it starts. This is the outline of what you're going to put into the book talk. I don't want you just randomly umming on your way through it as you're picking stuff up out of your head. You should be reading a script. The script will be based off what is here. Okay? So, ELA1 book talk, it's just going to be a 3 to 8 minute book talk that you're going to record and upload to YouTube. You do have a YouTube account already because you have a DeWitt Gmail address. It's the same person. So you just log on with your DeWitt account. You can find it. Again, the following is an outline. Now, I'm going to talk about how to do the videos at the end. Again, this is what I foresee as the final project. However, you need to start by reading and filling this out. So, you must include the mandatory parts. There will be others that you get choices. Complete all mandatory parts, which are called the intro, the plot, and the conclusion. Then, pick the ones that work for you from the menu choices. Remember, you need to have a 3 to 8 minute book talk. Complete the mandatory parts and 3 others for 20 points out of 20. Mandatory parts and 2 others for 17. Mandatory parts and 1 other for 14, or just mandatory alone is 11 out of 20. Now, you got to fill it out completely. However, here's the mandatory stuff. It's all in bold. Title, author, genre, like is it part of a series? Is it a mystery? Is it young adult? When did it first come out? Do you know any books that are similar? If you don't, I recommend goodreads.com. Excuse me, .com. If you go to goodreads.com, you plug in the book, and it's going to spit out a whole bunch of books that are similar to it. Maybe you're going to give it an overall rating. 2 thumbs up. I always kind of suggest, a 10 is amazing and 1 is terrible. What's your rating number? Maybe you're going to give it a B. Whatever rating system you want, let us know what you think of it. And then who would you recommend it to? Is this book for guys? Is it for girls? Is it for those who like sports? Is it for those who like history? Who would like it? Obviously, there has to be spoilers, so you're going to let people know up front, hey, there are spoilers coming. So it might sound something like, it might sound something like this when you actually get it to video. Right now, you might just be writing Slaughterhouse-5, author, Kurt Vonnegut, genre, war story, initial year publication, and so forth, right? And you're just typing it out. But when you actually create it into a video, you would have a script and it would sound something like, hi guys, I'm here and I'm going to be talking about Kurt Vonnegut's wartime story, Slaughterhouse-5. I give this book an overall rating of blah, blah, blah. The year it came out was blah, blah, blah. You know, there's some similar books, and I think that's Catch-22. I also think any of Vonnegut's writing is very similar to most satirical authors today, such as Tom Robbins. He is dark but comedic and also strikes to the heart of the moment. My overall rating is a 10 out of 10. Who would I recommend this to? I'd recommend it to anybody that doesn't like the traditional stuff you're getting assigned in high school. I didn't like the traditional stuff I was assigned in high school, and I'm telling you, Slaughterhouse-5 is the book that got me turned on to reading. All of a sudden, I found a guy that was weird. I was weird. A guy that was different. It wasn't a Scarlet Letter book, which, sorry, Scarlet Letter fans, I didn't like. Blah, 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 blah. So that's what it will ultimately sound like, but it all starts here. Don't worry about the script right now. Don't worry about the video right now. Just get this done. Now, you're not going to be able to do the whole thing until you've obviously read, but you can do it as you read. Remember, I'm giving you time every day to work, or every day we meet, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and by meet, I say I'm going to post the assignments. You're going to do them in your own time, but I will have due dates for certain things. But I expect, on Tuesday, you're going to give 45 minutes of work to me. Thursday, 45 minutes of work to me. Friday, 45 minutes of work to me. Some of that might be watching this video like you're doing now. Some of it might be sitting down and actually writing. Some of it might be reading, so forth. Studying, perhaps. So, we've covered the mandatory intro part. Then you're going to have another mandatory plot is the exposition, which we know is the beginning, the start of book, right? You don't have to say the word exposition, but it's the start of the book. The rising action is when things start to heat up. The climax, this is what you tell people. We all read the story, The Most Dangerous Game. So when you go home from school and your mom says, what'd you read today? It's a story about humans hunting humans on an island. That's the climax, right? The climax is the main part of the book. The falling action is how characters react to the climax, the resolution. That's the wrap up. That's the done part. So think about it like this. What happens? The most important 5 things. What happens first? What happens next? What's the main point? How do people react to that? And what happens last? How does it wrap up? That's what you're doing. Now, you also have the very last mandatory thing you must do is the conclusion. Here, just like a conclusion in your paper, you're not introducing new stuff. You're reminding your audience of what the author was, who the author was, what the title was. Prediction. Now, if the book just ends, what do you think is going to happen to the characters after that? If it's part of a series, maybe you're going to predict the next series. So you're going to pretend if your book ended, what do the characters do on the next page that wasn't written? Are they going to live a happy life? Are they going to fall back into their own old habits? Will something unresolved come back to see them? What is your prediction if the book were to continue? If you already know what happens, then just hint at future events. This is the prediction. I view it as the story if continued. If it's not continued, you're going to guess. If it is continued, you're going to shine a light on what might happen in the next book. Tell us again why you liked the book. Tell us again your overall rating, 9 out of 10, or a B+, or 2 thumbs up, or whatever you said at the beginning. Tell us again, who is it for? Is it for boys? Is it for girls? Is it for seniors? Is it for anyone in high school? Is it for middle school and up? Who's it for and why? And then lastly, your personal spin. What really grabbed you about the book? Why is it good in your eyes? All right, so those are the mandatory 3 parts. You have to do those, but I'm hoping you choose more menu options. If you choose the mandatory options and 3 other ones, you're going to get 20 out of 20. So here's your options. You could choose option 1. Story elements. Notice it says provide details and description. Don't just give me Chuck as the protagonist, right? You got to tell me who all the characters are. What is it about that character? Give me a full explanation of the character. Give me a full explanation of the bad guy, the antagonist, or the force that the main character struggles against. Doesn't have to be a person. Who are some other characters that are important in the book, and why are they important? Tell us a little bit about them. Who is your personal favorite character and why? Here, maybe you're making a connection. Maybe they had something they said. Maybe it's their attitude, the way they carry themselves. Why do you like them? Where is it set? Remember, this is two things. Time and place, time and place, time and place. Option 2. Story development. So, we all talked about conflict. Now, remember, the conflict type is character versus character, character versus setting, character versus self. You could have character versus society, character versus supernatural, character versus technology. Although we really didn't cover character versus technology or character versus supernatural too much. Those are definitely types of conflict. But mostly you're going to cover character versus setting, character versus character, character versus self. So, what type of conflict is it? And then explain what it is. What is the actual conflict? And then how does it become more complicated? Remember, how it becomes complicated is just the way it's more entangled, more interesting for the audience. And hopefully, your book has more than one conflict. It should. What is another conflict? So maybe if it's bad guy versus good guy, that's character versus character. Here's what's going on. The guy with the white hat's the good guy. His name's the Lone Ranger. The guy with the black hat, he robbed the train and the Lone Ranger's after him and blah, 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 blah. Complication? Well, the guy tied up Daisy May on the railroad tracks. So Lone Ranger's got to stop him and free Daisy before it's too end. Something like that. That would be a complication to a character versus character conflict. Conflict 2, maybe it's character versus self. Maybe the Lone Ranger has doubt in his heart. Or maybe he loves Daisy so much that he might forget about the people on the train. I don't know. That could be a complication. All right, so you got to pick two. Two conflicts and how each of them are complicated. The conflict types should be different. Menu option 3, quotes. As always, assume your audience is unfamiliar with the story. So you got to set it up. Don't just plug in a quote. You got to say, okay, at one point in the story, the Lone Ranger knew the train was heading for Daisy May. And yet, he knew there was people on the train counting on him. And he thought to himself. And that's maybe where you launch into the quote. Whatever that may be. And then, of course, you're going to explain. Why is that quote important? Give me some deeper meaning. Option 4, connection. You only have to pick one, but you're going to provide a summary of what you're connecting to and a description of the way in which you connect. So is it a text to text? Text to self? Text to world? And then what it is. Now, when you do this connection, I always feel like students give me the connection part. They tell me how it relates to their life, or they tell me how it relates to someone they know, or they tell me how it's similar to something going on in the news, or they tell me how it's similar to another book, but they don't explain exactly what they're connecting to. So remember, you got to give a good description of the thing to which you are connecting. When the Lone Ranger is at the fire before the robbery has taken place, he is talking to Tonto, and he says that he has never had blah, 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 and they have a deep conversation by the fire, and they confide in one another. In fact, the Lone Ranger tells him his deepest, darkest secret. This reminds me of me and my best friend when I sat by a fire, and I blah, 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 blah. So, tell us what it is about the story and how it is you are connecting to it. Menu option 5, skills takeaway, fully respond to all. So, I wonder type questions. This could be in the middle of the book. I wonder why the Lone Ranger wears the mask. Maybe it's at the end of the book. I wonder what the Lone Ranger's going to do from now. I wonder if the Lone Ranger has ever had love before. I wonder, just things you're thinking about as you're reading. Inferences. This is my famous example. You've all heard it before. An inference is something that is not in the text. So if the text said, it's midnight, you open, let's say it's midnight, and Charles opens the window quietly. Charles sneaks in. Charles is tiptoeing across the floor when the light comes on. Charles' mother is sitting there with her arms crossed and a frown on her face as she's tapping her foot. Okay, if that's all the text says, what is your inference? Well, Charles snuck out, or Charles is busted, or Charles is going to be grounded, something like that. That is what the inference is. He's trying to quietly get back in his house without his mother seeing. Didn't say it in the text, but that's the inference. So maybe there's a part in the book where it's hinted at that your character doesn't like relationships, doesn't like other people.